to this week's episode of Diesel and the Beard.
Welcome back to episode 7 of Diesel and the Beard, featuring the Commish, aka the Bearded Bean Counter, and
Diesel, aka the Wiz. Welcome back. Another great week ahead of us. Thursday night. I get fired up for Thursdays now. It's my first little touch of football in 3 days, so it's like a little fix.
oh yeah,
And coming off a big win, so I'm pumped about that. And
I can't wait to talk about your waiver grab or your late free agent addition. That was a nice one. So I think we'll kick it off this week with the week 4 recap. We're gonna do the standard grade grabs. We'll get into the mailroom. We're definitely one of the most hotly discussed segments each week is the Bet 365 with the Wiz. We're going to do a week 4 KFFL preview, and then we'll close with, some trade reviews. How does that sound?
sounds good. Did we get a fan question this week?
We did. Yeah. We'll get,
cool.
we'll get that in the mailroom segment.
Good.
So
I didn't know. I didn't see that on the show notes, but all right. So week 4 recap. It was a pretty crazy week in the real NFL with the Titans having some COVID issues, and that seems to be kind of trickling over. So some
Did you
shuffling.
see?
Yeah.
Did you see the fan video / pics of the Titans at like a school yard?
Yeah, practicing. Yeah. I mean,
And did you see any of the Twitter responses, man?
No. I mean, I know they got shit on the one article I was reading. Like, I get it, rightfully so. I'd probably be doing the same thing, though, right? Like,
it's their livelihood, man. Like, I mean, this is what they do, right? And I mean, and so I forget who it was, but they were like, you'd struggle in a court of law to prove that was me. And I was just like, yes, I love it.
That's so true, yeah. Well,
man.
Some other 6'7" guy catching balls in the end zone, I guess.
A Jonnu Smith lookalike.
Yeah. So, did we get names? Who it was, or supposedly?
It was the whole offense, man. You can see it. Like, you definitely can see Tannehill, and you can definitely see Jonnu Smith. But I mean, I don't know. There's people talking about, are they gonna forfeit? I mean, as of right now, there's been 2 more positive tests. So I think what we're gonna see is a Monday or a Tuesday showing. If that doesn't happen, though, then they're gonna be adding a week 18, moving the Super Bowl back a week, pushing the playoffs into that slot, and then having an 18th week. And so I think that would essentially become like a catch-all for any future positives.
Okay.
So like, for instance, if this game doesn't go, you can't add another bye week. They would put that to week 18 kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So
because if other teams roll into this issue, that's when it's going to start getting sloppy because you can't change everything around.
That's right.
The problem is what you're going to have is if a team misses 2 weeks, then what?
Well, and that's where we're at, right? So, and that's the problem. There's really no alternative. There's no contingency right now. So if you add
just
that
keep
18th
adding weeks to the year, and some teams got to catch up 4 games in the last 4 weeks of the season while everyone's sitting around waiting. Like, I really hope that doesn't happen. I mean, Trump just beat the coronavirus, so
4 days.
These athletes should be able to.
Oh, it's here's the thing. I mean, the NFL is a very public league, so they have a responsibility to just keep face. There's a lot of money on the line. Yeah. But in reality, I don't think anyone is. You saw my wager. I put a wager in our group chat for the KFFL, $1,000. I'll give, if anyone wants to take it, I'll give like whatever they want, odds wise. But $1,000.
Yeah.
No one's dying in the NFL from this thing. Like, you've got a bigger chance of contracting some rare form of cancer, like Ron Rivera, than you do of dying from this shit. So I think it's just a matter of saving face.
Your best case scenario, and I don't mean best case, and like, we're talking hypotheticals, and I obviously hope everyone stays healthy. And
of course.
I never wish that on anyone, but
no.
If someone died from like something on a comorbidity that had coronavirus, could be some value in that bet. Like, guy gets in a car crash but has COVID.
There you go. We'll
what
have
does
to
it
have
say
some
on
real.
the-
We'll
yeah.
have to have some real defined parameters.
I want
that.
everyone to stay healthy, and I would never.
That's
I would
right.
never take that.
That's
bet.
right.
But anyways,
That's right.
let's move on with the Week 4 recap.
Well, let's kick it off. I mean, let's start with the attack of the 3-1s. I mean, we've got 5 teams currently tied for first at 3-1, and those teams are myself, Dorian, Chad, my brother Cody, and Kyle Silva and Chris Nielsen, the dynamic duo. Both Dorian and myself, Diesel. You and I we're riding modest 2-game winning streaks.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother and the dynamic duo were both undefeated and are no more.
Yeah, that's good. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising to say the least when they both went to 3-0, and so I think that especially in Cody's case, he didn't lose by that much, so it's not like he broke 100. He got to 111, and he lost to a pretty hot Chad. Chad's put up 132 straight weeks now. On the flip side, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. They lose to Loudon. The dynamic duo put up 121 and lost. I mean, if you get to that point, you're losing.
Yeah, I was actually hoping for a bit more separation by this point, a little bit more than this, because what happens now is you don't really have as much as a cushion as you think you did.
You don't. No,
Like
you
Cody,
don't.
for example, Cody's team's pretty injury-ridden right now. He
lost Chubb and he's got Philip Lindsay coming back though. That's a nice spark.
Gordon's been he's the bell cow there now. Like Philip's going to get his touches, but
Philip's a flex play. But I mean, if we just take we'll look at the preview for this week, but
he lost. Well, I don't know why he has McCoy. McCoy's out. Fournette is hurt. Sutton done for the year. Chubb IR, and the rest of his team is just not deep enough. Even his guys that he kind of has for depth, like Carry On, and
they're not starters. Yeah, they're not. They're not guys you can really feel confident rolling out, eh?
So Cody's in a weird position right now, and because does he try to ride this wave out? He's got a couple early wins.
Mm-hmm.
And just hope that his injuries catch up and he can go the next 3 games, maybe go hopefully 2-1 or at worst 1-2.
Yeah.
Still remain above 500 and let his team come back to health and then compete? Or does he do a trade now and get some depth and hope that he can, worst case scenario, he goes 0-3 in the next 3 weeks
and he's 500, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or so does he make a move or does he try and ride the wave? Because he's got a bit of a cushion with his 3-1. And I think that's a problem with a lot of teams.
I was just going to say the difference with Cody and some of these other guys is he's already moved his 1. So kind of you're a little handcuffed at that point. And believe me, I know that those 0-4 teams and that 1-3 team, if they go to 1-4 and 0-5, I mean, you're just not coming back from 0-5. 0-4, you basically nailed it. If you go 4-0, you're essentially a third of the way into the season. And if you broke the season into thirds, okay, and you're 0-4, you could finish 9-4. You know what I mean? Like you could legitimately finish after the 13-game season at 9-4. Are you going to? No. But if you got to, like, we all know that 500 will potentially make the playoffs.
Yeah. So you're hoping that your bandaged up roster can get you there, and then by playoffs that you're healthy. And I find with what's going on in this league, especially with COVID, just throwing another dynamic to it, I think everyone's beat up. No one's got a great healthy roster. Everyone's dealing with injuries and backups and shit. So it's kind of, it's interesting to see who's going to maybe pull a trigger and just go get healthy guys now. Maybe guys that aren't going to be long-term plays, but guys that are going to get you points now to get you winning these next 3 or 4 weeks.
Listen,
and then reevaluate.
Listen, I'm Dorian. I'm going to say it right now. I have Joshua Kelly available for trade and Damian Harris available for trade. Are those guys potential league winners? I don't know yet, but they're definitely potential week winners.
That's the thing, and we've spoke about this. Sometimes you don't need a league winner. Sometimes you need a week winner because you got to hit a single if you want to get to home every once in a while. They don't have to be home runs. You got to – and I don't think enough people are doing that. Not enough people are working the weekly. Everyone's thinking too big term.
That's right.
So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've had some trades out there. Craig who just completely ignored me all week.
Oh, what's going on over under that rock?
I just know.
Was that why you threw it out to him there on the page there about the Packers, his Packers?
Yeah. Well, it was a little double-edged dig because A, he had to watch his Packers destroy, which is good for him.
Oh yeah.
But Tanyan with 3 is that wasn't good for him. So, and
boy,
yeah, I could see he was
3.
reading. He was reading my messages on trades, but he had like a lead going into the Monday night game. So I was maybe he just doesn't want to talk to me. Like,
no jinxing.
In my mind, I was thinking, okay, I've got this. I had needed like 30 points out of Rodgers and Tanyan and one other player. And I was like, okay. So when I was messaging him trades, I didn't really realize I was kind of being rude. Like I was almost already assuming he was 0-4. So then I was like, okay, that's probably why he's not talking to me. But it turns out he was sick and he wasn't really getting back to anyone. And then he kind of threw out some guys he liked on my team. And so I don't know where it'll go from there. My problem now is that I've been on this Packer train, not only in betting, but in fantasy, you know, and how many more Packers can I have? I can't have them all. I'll want them all.
Welcome to my team 2 years ago, man.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's good. I was really – so now, you know, I got Lazard, Rodgers, Tanya, and it's like, okay.
You've got an abundance of 4-0 players, man. I mean, it's not a bad problem to have. Yeah. I personally think that you should be moving Tanyan. But the problem for me is it's based on uncertainty when the starters return. And so I don't think that's lost on anyone. But there's also a line that a player will reach where it's like they've now become matchup proof, or they've now reached that status where it's like it doesn't matter who's out there. You know what I mean? And so with tight ends,
yeah, but who's coming back? Who's
Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard.
Adams is coming back. Lazard is a nobody. I like Lazard because he's a guy that can catch balls, but Rodgers is making Lazard good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And Lazard went out, and there's other receivers to throw to. Everyone thought MVS is going to be the guy. MVS is not that good of a receiver. Rodgers
got baby T-Rex arms, man. He just reaches with his little baby T-Rex arms.
Tanyan is a fucking beast. And I'm not just saying
he was roommates with Kittle.
Yeah, I did know that after you told me, actually. So
beast.
Listen, I think Adams comes back and Tanyan gets better because I think Rodgers knows Tanyan's good now. He gets open. He's big. He's aggressive. He goes up. His targets are good, and his fucking receptions are amazing. He went 100% in completions. He got 5 throws in his third game and 6 throws in the second game.
Does he have 4 or 5 total TDs?
I think
he has 5.
5. He had 1 in week 2, 1 in week 3, and 3 in week 4. So he was actually getting targets before everyone was injured, which I went back and looked at because I was like, is this an anomaly?
But you think that he can coexist is what you're saying? I
think even if Adams comes back, Lazard's not there for 6 weeks. I think Adams comes back helps Tanyan. Tanyan was the number 1 target last week.
It's the pair of them. It's when you all of a sudden get into that red zone and you've got that tall Lazard King and then you've got Tanyan. That's my only concern. I love him. I think
Lazard's 6 weeks, though. Lazard's 6 weeks.
Is he?
Yeah, he's on IR. So I think
it's
Adams
3 weeks
comes
now.
Back. Okay.
It's 3 weeks, but still.
I think that Rodgers now realizes he has an absolute beast in this guy. And I think he could go to the moon, honestly.
I'm with you.
He's an athlete. He catches balls at their point, and he
high points
puts his shoulder down and gets to the end zone. I love it. You know, he could be a Kittle easily. Is he an Andrews or a Kelsey? Maybe.
We'll see how he operates in the open field. Kittle's one of the most dominant pass catchers after the catch that I've ever seen. So if we get to a point where Tanyan, I'm not writing him off. I'm overly skeptical because we haven't had a tight end since Jermichael Finley in Wisconsin. That's all right. True. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah, Rodgers is, but you know what? I've always said this. I want the quarterback. So when I get a receiver, for me, it's more about who's throwing him the ball. Because Roger can take a bum and make him good. If Lazard's in New York, you could pick the Giants or the Jets. He's a fucking no one. No one even knows his name. But because Rodgers is throwing him open, everyone's talking about the Lizard King all of a sudden.
I know.
So if
Tanyan is house.
Yeah, if Tanyan was in Jacksonville, I would be like, okay, he's got potential. But like Rodgers makes people good.
It's true, man.
If Crowder was in Green Bay, Jameson Crowder, he would be a first ballot Hall of fucking Famer, Pro Bowler year after year. But
he'd be nasty.
Who's he got? It's not even Sam Darnold. It's Joe Flacco's throwing him the ball now, right? So
yeah.
So what I'm saying is the quarterback is going to make the guy, and this goes for all the league. It's not like Kansas City has 4 of the best receivers in the league year after year. No, they have the best quarterback, which produces 3 or 4 good receivers.
It's true.
End, you know,
I'm with you. Buying into the pass thrower versus
So that's where I'm at with the Tanyan play. But
I've got a few notes about week 4 while we do this recap. So the first one is it's on the rookie darling Jake. So he started out 2-0 and he's now since lost 2 in a row. And he currently is sitting outside a playoff position with a 2-2 record.
That Christian McCaffrey deal that took his depth away, he didn't seem to care too much about.
I mean, I'm not going to throw any shade at him, but I mean, we're just looking at a guy with some decisions to make, because if you lose the next 4 and then you get CMC back, 2-6 is not something that it's
hard to come back from.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. Now, I'll need your brain for this. Did Jake, because we keep talking about this big deal that Cody Wilson and Silva did, but for the Kelsey and the Mahomes, but I think the biggest piece of that deal is forgotten about. Did Jake not trade Josh Allen to Silva so Silva could give him to Cody, so Silva could get Mahomes and Kelsey?
Yes.
So Jake traded away what might have been the biggest piece in that trade. And if he keeps Allen instead of taking Kyler, I think Jake is actually 4-0 right now, if my math was right on how many points he lost by.
Wow.
I was going through this the other night, and I was like,
wow.
Shit. Jake was forgotten about. He was a little middle gate that Silva needed some pieces to get the bigger deal done. But the real deal there is, how good is Jake right now if he actually keeps Josh Allen? Because what did he lose by the last 2 weeks? Because Allen's been nuclear.
My God.
I think he's second or third for overall points.
He's essentially overtaken Lamar Jackson's title from last year. How everybody was like, Lamar Jackson is dynamic.
Yes.
And so then Josh Allen's kind of like the 2020 new kid on the block. But I mean, I love that Jake's into tinkering, because it's always going to be this roulette wheel. And as an observer, it's fun, man. You know?
Oh yeah, no, it's fun, and I'm not trying to throw shade.
No, I know you're not. I think it's.
But
cool
I was thinking about
reflect.
this little reflection last. That was the forgotten part of the deal. Was the Josh?
And that
Allen.
deal doesn't happen. That deal does not happen unless that happens. Jake and I have talked about this, and I said to him, I was like, you kind of got into a situation where that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Unless the other two, Cody and Sylvan Nielsen, are dealing. Jake was that sort of third-party benefactor that just kind of was right place, right time.
So just looking at it now, Jake wins week 3 if he has Allen, which puts him to 3-1, tied for first.
Yeah.
He's because Kyler put up 27 points and Allen put up 45.5. So
Kyler, yes.
And,
yes.
And Jake only lost by 12 points. So that's a change. That's a win. That could be important. So that was a neat little about Jake, because I was thinking about Jake's team. I'm like, wow, he's dropping off. And I'm like, yeah, the only deal, but he actually made the deal for McCaffrey and then lost some depth. And that Josh Allen trade, Jake really didn't like Josh Allen at the beginning of the year. No one really loved him.
I mean,
he liked him, but he
wasn't. I mean, it makes my brother look like a fucking savant now, because he basically traded this is for anyone out there who isn't in the KFFL. My brother went and traded away Mahomes and Kelsey. And so at the time, everyone's just shaking their head. Everyone's like, this is
the
fucking
best stack
nonsense.
In the game, pretty much.
Yeah, nonsense.
Yeah.
And then he gets Josh Allen. And I mean, forget about how questionable that Brown trade was. I don't care about that. Josh Allen is easily the most dynamic quarterback in the NFL right now. And I mean that from a total package: rushing, a lack of interceptions, touchdown potential, and he throws downfield. I mean,
if
if
he's
you
winning games, like in the real NFL, the guy's winning games, which you need to do. Because sometimes you can have a fantasy guy that's great and their team's really shit, like Stafford. He's always good, relevant fantasy-wise up until probably this year, but his team's never good. So you got Josh Allen in real life. He's got a fucking hot team that are all buying into him. He's winning games. He's throwing balls. He's scoring touchdowns.
Yep.
And Jake just let it kind of go. And so that's –
we'll see. I mean –
let's see if Jake can rebound. I had a couple offers out to Jake on Friday.
Well, he plays Craig this week, and so Craig's 0-4, fighting for his fantasy life. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I wanted to, while we do a quick pivot here, I wanted to give a shout out to Rosie for cracking 100. He's 0-4, yeah, I mean, you know what,
man? Go, Rosie. Welcome to the club, bud.
What you're working with at this point is about to be upgraded with the return of Lev Bell and Michael Thomas. So I just wanted to say good for him. And then the other thing was Loudon. Loudon had a monster-sized comeback. I'm just going to pull up the actual details if you want to give me 1 second.
Loudon is actually at my house right now, which is weird. So
what?
Say hi, everyone.
Oh, yeah. He's got the hat on. Yeah. Hey, bro, you got to cut your hair, eh? That hair's getting a little dry. Split ends.
He's here
got
from
split ends.
No, that's just a little bit of bad blood from future championship matches.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah, so I want to just give a shout out to Loudon for upsetting Silva and Nielsen.
Loudon's team went Nuketown.
They did. They went absolute Nuketown. They were
Prescott with 54.
It was obviously a comeback. They were back and forth. I'm just watching it, but the Sunday afternoon games just sealed it. But if you go and look at the points for and against, and specifically in our league, obviously you know this, Dorian, but because of Ed's cry a few years back, we pay the breakdown winner. They're buying back, right? He's the breakdown winner right now. At 2-2. Yeah, man. And so he's tied with me but I wanted to just highlight that because, it's not every day that you see a guy potentially go 1-3 and lead the league in points. So
good for you,
yeah, so let's pivot. So again, I've said this in the past, I love grading the grabs. It really gives me an opportunity to immerse myself in the league goings on and also to position myself potentially in a better way for moves. So how about this? I'll read out the first one, Dorian, and then you can just tell me. So I did a little deep dive with Darren. How do you pronounce it? Darnest?
Yeah, Johnson? I think it's Darnest. Yeah.
Darnest. Yeah. He was the AAF star for the Orlando Apollos, finishing third in that league for rushing. So Craig picked him up with the first grab. I gave it a B+ because I think it's a handcuff move right now, but if anything were to happen, he looked really good.
He did. Yeah, he did. I actually tried to grab Dearness Johnson, but obviously Craig was all over that. So I liked it. Again, I guess we should really clarify, how do we rate? Do we rate these on like a 1 or a 2 week standard, or do we rate this in like the course, how we think this will impact the season?
I think it's a snapshot. So for me, and this is just me, and I love that we're kind of discussing the metrics of it, but like for me, I look at it and I go, with that opportunity and the available players that were there, my opinion on what you did with that. And so Dearness Johnson, I mean, there's a few other guys I do like, but in reality, that was probably one of the best players available from a long term, from an ROS, a rest of season standpoint.
Yeah. So then I have that as a solid B,
Yeah, that was where I was too.
It's that's where I like. I tried to get him. Obviously, my waiver wasn't as good, but yeah.
You said you had a few out there this week, eh?
Well, I was trying to shake something up. I haven't been overly active in the waiver because I know a lot of the stuff's not going to fall to me. So usually I just wait and see till the waiver's over, and then I go grab something that I need, which was Tanyan last week. And
the Tanyan move was insane. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And then this week I missed out on 3 waivers. So then came was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I was like, all right, well, Tanyan's on bye. So then I actually went and re-grabbed Jared Cook for the Saints. Who's
Well, and you were further down my list here, but we'll jump right to that. I mean, I gave you, and this isn't just me being biased. Jared Cook he should be rostered. And the fact that no one else even really considered him, I gave him an A because he's a starter. He's bona fide. He's in that great offense. And I see him as being a potential week winner, helping you win your week, you know?
Like he can pitch too, no problems.
Well, compare him to another guy, the next guy on the list, okay? So Reynolds grabbed Kirk Cousins. I get that he needs a quarterback, but I mean, is Kirk Cousins how many wins above replacement are you going to get with Kirk Cousins? You're not getting any. I mean, he's one of 7 quarterbacks you could have picked up. You look at the scarcity of the tight end position right now. Jared Cook, he's going to finish top 10, and he's not going to cost you anything. So that's the way I looked at that. I gave Reynolds a C on the Cousins pick just because they lead the league in the least amount of pass attempts thrown. So, I mean, I just look at that and go, do I want that quarterback?
Yeah, I hate Kirk's cousin. I don't like him at all. I
don't like Kirk's cousin either, man.
I didn't like him in Washington. I didn't like his big contract.
I didn't like him in Michigan State, Chad. I hated him in Michigan State.
Yeah, and I honestly...
Go Blue!
There's a guy on waivers right now because Rodgers is on bye, so I'm forced to use Burrow this week, which I would normally be happy about, except he's playing Baltimore. So I was actually looking at waivering a quarterback for this week, and I think there's a few guys I could easily pick up right now that I personally prefer more than Kirk Cousins. So Reynolds, I'm going to say D+ on that one. Maybe reevaluate.
Oh, wow.
Maybe reevaluate.
Oh, wow, nice. Rosie grabbed Jeff Smith, and I was good to obliterate this, but I'm reading about him. Boston College product. He got 7 of 9 targets for 81 yards in his first real action. I mean, it's the Jets, but I mean, he was out there with Crowder. It's not like there was no Crowder. Yeah. Rashad Perryman's not going to make it back. I think this is a potential. I mean, you got Joe Flacco. I don't know what kind of chemistry they have, but they're going to typically be a negative game script. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, the only thing that works for me here is that, like, okay, maybe Flacco likes this guy, you know? So, because nobody knows.
Maybe, that's right.
Yeah. So, like, maybe he gets 10 targets from Flacco just because of where Flacco's natural progression goes after Crowder's covered. He goes right to Smith second. I don't know, maybe Smith first. So, but he could also get 0 looks. We don't really know. It's such an unknown.
We don't know.
It's really a boom or bust scenario. I think he could, game script is, probably positive for him, but I think they'll be behind in throwing. I don't know. Flacco's coming off a neck surgery, so too many unknowns for me. I'm going to say it's probably a C, C minus, something like that.
I gave it a C+, but I'm with you. I'm in that range for sure. Scotty Miller, Loudon
Scooter. Yeah.
Going tonight.
I don't mind it, to be honest with you. I know Brady talked about Scott Miller. He likes him. He throws that. He's kind of like the poor Edelman in Tampa, I guess, that underneath those crossing routes. The problem I have with it is there's too many targets in Tampa, so he's really going to be fighting for target share. If he can turn what he does get into something, like if he gets 3 looks, but he turns 1 into a TD, great. But
I think Edelman Light is the exact way to describe him. I think I've said that in the past. And I see him as being a 1-week guy. There's no Godwin potentially. So, you get this guy who's going to soak up targets. Can he get a crossing route in the back of the end zone? 100%.
Sure can.
So
I probably rated it like a B.
I gave it a B+. I'm right in that range. So it's a process, right?
Sure.
Powell grabbed Justin Jackson, the receiving back out of the Chargers.
I don't mind it. I like it.
I'm going to upgrade my ranking, actually.
Yeah, I think that's probably – I mean, we're not seeing anything develop in that backfield right now to be like, this is the guy. I know you want to.
Kelly's been the guy, but
he didn't impress
really
me.
That guy.
He didn't impress me.
Listen,
I don't want to kill your trade talks.
No, man, yeah. I'm probably not trading him because I don't think anyone's going to give me what I think he's worth. But 2 fumbles in 2 weeks. If he has a 3rd fumble in 3 weeks, he's going to go the way of Amon Green's elbow pads, man. And that's from John Madden's mouth right into the dumpster. But in reality, I mean, this league is not a league that is built around bell cows anymore, man. Unfortunately,
It's true.
you know. So I look at a guy like,
but
Justin
it is a
Jackson.
heavier throwing league, and
That's
they do check down a lot. And this Justin Jackson probably fits into what the Chargers' game plan would be more surroundings if they had the Eckler in, because he's kind of like he's that kind of.
He's smaller. He's 200 pounds. Yeah.
So, anyways, I like it. I think it could work good. I'm gonna say B+.
That's what I upgraded. We're on the same track there. Okay. I picked up Darrington Evans. I won't go into much detail. He's a handcuff to my newly acquired King Henry.
Yeah, I mean, you're just playing a safety net there. So,
yep.
Is it worth having the roster spot? Because he's getting 0 touches unless you basically need an injury for him to be worthwhile. So, but it's a good handcuff to have because I think if Henry goes down, he's getting a lot of touches. I'm going to say B-.
They're a running team. Yeah, I didn't grade it, but thank you.
B-.
I gave you on the Jared Cook grade. I mentioned earlier I gave you an A. Nice. Jake, he needed a kicker. I gave that an NA. And then, the honorable mention, Robert Tonyan. I mean, when I woke up Tuesday morning and I saw that he had 3 touchdowns, that's best case. So, I'm easily able to throw that in there as an honorable mention with an A+. So it's a little bit easier because of hindsight, but okay. So let's shift. So we've got another fan question. So this comes from Reynolds. Other than demanding a refund on his waiver picks to date, he brought up the idea of the league embracing free agent or waiver acquisition budgets. So FAB or WAB. I've played in leagues before, but I want to hear what you have to say about this story and this potential change.
Yeah. No, I'm not into it.
I think that it takes away with the way that our league is in the KFFL, there's always rebuilding teams. There are always going to be franchises that are owned by people who have an eye on the future. And so if you take away the reward for being shit, which is the first waiver pick, which resets each week, you take away that ability to have, you've almost just shifted it so that it's more of a this year focus.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fun, but how should I have access as a dominant team this year? How should I have access to some of these studs that these lesser teams need?
So does the budget reset every week?
No, man, the budget is fixed at the year. Yeah. And so it's typically $100. And so if you're in a league and you say, let's just say you wanted Josh Kelly after Eckler went down, you're the Eckler owner. Okay. And you didn't handcuff him. You could literally take your $100 and you could bid it all on one player. Now, no one usually does that. You usually won't see someone spend more than 50% of their budget, but you could do that. And so, I mean, that it takes away the need to handcuff potentially, because you'll go get your guy if you want him. And it doesn't reward the turnover in those bottom teams being able to come up. So it is more exciting. There is a little bit more involvement every week, but in a league like ours, I don't know. I mean, how many picks do we get a week? There was 10 there. People are involved.
I think it'll limit movement. I mean, I think our waiver is very active and it's fun and teams are changing and guys are getting dropped and picked up. And I think if people have to spend money, then they're going to be like, I'm not going to make that move this week because next week I might need to do something. And then I just think it slows things down. And I think we're at a good spot. I think we're at a good spot with guys, because every week you got to drop. I had to drop Cook last week. I really didn't want to drop Cook, and it came down, but I thought Rex Burkhead could have a big game, and I didn't want to drop any of my Cam Akers or handcuffs. So I had to drop a good player, a solid tight end. I didn't think I'd get him back at all, and so that was forced. If I wasn't forced to make those moves,
you wouldn't.
That could have changed the league for someone. If someone picks him up, he has a 3-touchdown week or whatever, and then.
You wouldn't have got him. You wouldn't have got him. Someone would have flown over top and bottom, and that's my problem. Is that you can get people that are, but it does add an element. And so what I will say is, in standard KFFL fashion, Reynolds has put it up there. If we can get a second on that, then we will vote on it. Sure. If there's no one else interested, we're going to put that to bed. I think that it's an interesting concept that could, the term modern was used, This league's been in existence since 2011, and this is the first time we're hearing about this. I don't think it makes anything more modern. I think it's newer and it's different. But in terms of making sure that every owner feels engaged, that automatic number one waiver each week, I think does a good job of that. So I'll leave it at that.
Don't fix what ain't broken, right? And also, you and I are both like top-ranked teams currently, and so like we should want this because then
I know.
I really
should.
don't. I really love how the parity. It's like a mixing bowl. Guys
Parity.
are rising and dropping, and I think it wrecks that. Anyway, so my vote's no.
My vote's no.
We've had a couple guys come into the league, and they've been here 1 or 2 years. I remember TJ wanted cash penalties, and
Oh yeah.
There's a few other changes that have been brought up over the years, and sometimes you can make things too messy. It can get too noisy.
We have changed. I mean, Dorian, there's been things that I've tried
changes for the better for sure. This one I don't like because again, you could slow down movement. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to slow down. Our waiver wire is busy. Every week, guys are getting new guys that can contribute. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people not doing that. So I think. Well,
and I don't want people losing interest either.
Yeah. And other guys have everyone has multiple leagues going. And it just kind of makes it a little bit more time. Because some guys, they do this like heavy. They're studying this league. And guys like Silva probably has 3 leagues, and this is just one of them. And, you don't want to give advantages to people that are more on the opposite, right? So, anyways, we'll move on from that.
Favorite segment of every viewer and myself is Bet365 with the Wiz. Dorian went 2-0 last week. His bets were Broncos money line and an anytime Judy touchdown, and he nailed both of them. Just for the record, I had the Thursday night under, and I had Frank Gore anytime, and I went 0-2. So the moral of that story is get your money on the Wiz's picks while you can.
Yeah, it's been a hot start to the year for sure for me. Probably my best start in 4 weeks of fantasy or football.
Good, man. I've been riding with you, and it's been nothing but cash bags. So I just want to say what mine is quickly, Dorian, and then because I know you do a lot of research, and I don't want to take anything away from that. So anyone looking for value, I figure, you know what I'll do? Instead of giving locks, which aren't locks, I'll just say this. I'm going to give what I feel is a good value each week. And so this week with Chicago having 0 rushing touchdowns on the season and Tariq Cohen being out, David Montgomery is what he is. They've been giving him the ball, and he just hasn't been doing much. Who else is there? Cordarrelle Patterson. They've been forcing him a few shots. Mm-hmm. I love the 6-1. It's one of those bets. Juicy. Throw a couple bucks on it, maybe splash it in there with a high risk parlay. That's what I like for my high value this week.
I like that. I'll probably sprinkle that actually. I've already laid my bet.
Okay.
So
the one we were talking about off air?
Yeah, I bought in last night because I didn't know where the line was going. The line's actually gone in my favor. So I got Bucks -3.5. And I got and now the line's at 3. So I'm on Tampa with.
It's gone down half a point in the last hour since we started.
It's been dropping. We were talking about this. It's dropped from 6. And
so why do you think that is? Like, we talked briefly about it, but why specifically do you think that they pushed the line from 6 down to 3 this week?
While I'm on air. So I had $671.43 on the Bucks -3.5. I'm actually going to cash out that bet, which is a full cash out. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not.
I can't, but
anyways,
yeah.
So I'm doing a full cash out for my full.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go Bucks -3. So I just saved myself a half a point.
Yeah. Nice.
And
you're seeing the inner workings, audience. This is how it goes. You're not just going to sit there and accept that half point. I got daggered last week with a half point. Instead, you make the numbers work for you.
So 671.43 pays 1208.57, and that's the Bucks -3. So why do I love the Bucks? God, I don't think Chicago's that good. Chicago's not that good.
They're not.
Their schedule has been light. They only played one team with a winning record. I'm pretty sure that was the Colts, and they lost. And to be honest, I watched that game, and the Colts played pretty shitty. And, if we're going to talk about aging quarterbacks, Brady's much better than Rivers. And I believe they still won by a touchdown. So going through the stats, I was looking, Tampa is better in every single offensive category except rushing yards. And it's a difference of a few points. I think Chicago is 20th and Tampa's 25th or 6th or something. Mm-hmm. Too many weapons. Brady's just like, if this was a fantasy matchup and you had to go quarterback for quarterback, who do you want, Brady or Foles? Top receiver, Evans or Robinson. Top running back, Rojo or Montgomery. Like, you're going to give Tampa the win, right? Like,
of course.
And 3 points. And Brady likes playing under the lights. I could go into a lot more shit on data and stats, but that's the bet for me is the Bucks -3. And then I might hop on an anytime, but I didn't see anything overly juicy. I like your Patterson, but
Allen Robinson. I like Allen. If you were to make me pick one, I really don't like Rojo. I really don't like Evans. Evans could, but he also couldn't. I like Allen Robinson. I just think that he's dynamic. He's over that 2.0 line that you've always kind of talked to me about.
Yeah.
And really, other than Anthony Miller, maybe the corpse of Jimmy Graham, but I just think Allen Robinson could just break one long.
Cameron Brate had a touchdown last week. He's a good tight end that people kind of just forgotten about there in Tampa because he got big.
OJ Howard's out, right? So, and Gronk looks like a janitor running down the field.
And Brady likes tight ends. So I don't know. Cameron Brate at 3-1 is not bad, but again, nice. my bet tonight, my big bet is I like Tampa.
So you're going Bucks -3.5.
No, 3.
And then, or -3, sorry. I'm going to fly with that. And do you want to, so I'm just going to say your value, I'm not going to have this as an actual counting stat, but you mentioned Cameron Brate, and we'll just keep an eye on that one anytime. Yeah, and for anyone out there listening, the stat is 3-1 on that, that's really, really nice.
3-1 is nice. And the problem with Chicago, and I heard this little saying last week with you, AJ, actually, was when you have two quarterbacks, you don't really have one. And that's Chicago's issue right now. It's like Foles is...
God, what a saying, eh?
Yeah. So, you got Brady or you got, who knows, maybe Foles comes out and he's shit and Trubisky goes back in. You just don't know. Either way, I don't like Chicago's team this year. And the Bucks have put some beatdowns on some teams already. So
Brady's had 3 of 4 really good games. He's coming off of a 5-touchdown game. Obviously, I'm going to just say this. Bruce Arians' offense is notoriously tough. There have been guys like Carson Palmer when he went to Arizona that took a year to embrace that, to learn it, the language and the different facets of it, the depth of that playbook. And I think what we're seeing here is, Brady's intelligent. He might be one of the most intelligent quarterbacks we've ever seen, up there with Peyton.
He's a coach on the field.
He's consuming that playbook so quickly. We're literally in front of us seeing Carson Palmer was a first-round pick. He was a Heisman winner. He was an incredible quarterback. I loved watching Carson Palmer play, and it took him a year. Yeah. We're seeing Brady step in. He looked lost in the first week, and since then, man, it's been a snowball effect.
Let's not forget they played the Saints in week 1.
Which is a great defense.
Were a heavy favorite to be NFC champs, and they were healthy. So you're going against healthy Kamara, Latavius, Thomas was there, Cook was there, and they're playing in New Orleans in the Dome, where Drew Brees is notoriously like a beast.
And without any preseason.
Yeah, so they lost that game. The Saints have been shit since, but they've had injuries. And then Tampa beats, the Panthers by 14 points. Then they go beat the Broncos by 18 points. And then they beat the Chargers by a touchdown, which is all good teams. Panthers are 2-2. Broncos are kind of they've had some bad injuries.
What do they have in common? What do the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Bears all have in common?
They're all shit.
Terrible quarterbacks.
Yeah. And then let's see what the 3-1 Chicago Bears have done. Because that's why the line's close, because they're 3-1. Well, they beat the Lions.
One pride
by 4 points. The Lions are garbage.
Then
they beat the Giants.
Garbage.
Again by 4 points.
By Bears 4. Wow.
Squeak it by. Are the Lions not 0-4 and the Giants are they 1-3 and 1-3? Then they beat the Falcons in a miracle comeback game.
Who are 0-4.
And they're terrible. And then they lost to the Colts by over 8 points. So I mean, for me, the Bucs is an easy bet. I mean, it's Thursday night; anything can happen, but the value's there.
If you put $100 on it, people, just to close this down, if you put $100 on the Bucs -3, you will receive $180 back into your bank account. So I suggest if you like money and you like grabbing cash bags, get yourself on Bet365 and follow the whiz.
And watch that line because it could move lower tonight. If it goes to 2.5, I'll be cashing out again and then rebetting the same amount for.
I love 2.5
until it goes. 2.5.
I love 2.5. Just so everyone knows, if you wanted to push the alternate spread to 2.5 right now, you're going to drop down to 166. So they're definitely incentivizing you for that push. But you know what? Who cares? I think they're going to win by 7. So
I actually hope the Bears come out and score first because
You'll jump in live.
I'll jump in live, get my dollar cost averaging up, and I'll probably put another 500 on the Bucs if they go down by 7. So
let's get those bags.
Stay tuned. All right, what else do we got here? That's the Wiz has spoke. By the way, not bragging. I'm probably at about 10K in profits the first month of football.
What we're going to do, Dorian, is we're going to work out your units. I want you to send me your units so that we can have a conversation.
I've never been a real unit better. I don't actually bet units. The reason that number is the number it is because
we can still break that down.
Sure.
I can still reverse engineer that for you.
I should be better. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Wiz. Let's shift. So as we near the finish line, I want to look ahead to week 4 in terms of the KFFL. And the different things that we're going to be dealing with. So number 1, there's 2 official buys this week, the Lions and the Packers. So anyone with a Lion or a Packer, you're going to have to look elsewhere. And then the other thing to consider, and we talked about this off air, but there's a high likelihood that Tennessee and Buffalo do not play this week. If they do, I think it'll be a Monday-Tuesday game. But the problem is, I believe one of those teams plays next week.
I would love a Tuesday game.
On Thursday.
I would love it.
So let me just check real quick what next week's Thursday night game is. Yeah, so next week's Thursday night game, the problem here is if they make Tennessee and Buffalo a Tuesday night game, there's no way Buffalo can turn around and play KC on Thursday. And they typically don't even ever, I don't think maybe once I've seen a Monday and then a Thursday. I think it was Jacksonville a few years ago, but so I think that there's a strong likelihood with the positive tests we've heard about today that we're going to see a week 18.
Yeah. I think
so. If you're starting a Tennessee player like I am times 2, or you're starting a Buffalo player like I know my brother would be, those are moves that you're going to have to make. And so this leads me into what I wanted to say, because I think that as a league, we have to have an approach. And I've done some thinking on this. I've done some research. I listen to 3 to 4 podcasts every day from the industry. And so here's what I propose. Before the game today, anyone is welcome to do this. If you have players which you're not sure are going to play, but you want to roll with them, submit to me a one-time alternate roster that I will switch you to should those players not play. You don't have to do this. If you do not do this and those players do not play, you take a 0. But what this does, and this isn't something we're voting on, we're going to do this because I think that it's my responsibility as the commissioner to ensure that this league has integrity. And so this is what I'm saying. Don't hear what I'm not saying. You don't have to do this, but before kickoff, what time's kickoff tonight, Dorian?
8:20.
Up until 8:19 Eastern Standard Time, if you send to me via text to 343-333-6078, or you post onto the Facebook page, your starters, your full team, what you would do if you didn't have the current starters. So your alternates, essentially. You send that to me. If I receive it or if it's on the wall before 8:20 today, I will adjust that roster for you manually using the commissioner tools.
Cool. So if you have, so that goes for you too, right? Because
I'm going to make adjustments. I'm not messing around. I'm going to make adjustments. It does go for me. I am going to put a team up there, but I also am going to act as if, right? So, because my problem is I don't have backups in all positions.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the issue. A lot of people have was that they're like forced to get guys on bye and then guys not playing games. The bench is only so deep.
I have 3 handcuffs, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. 3 handcuffs.
But yeah, moving on. I just wanted to talk about that and the Packers bye. So the first game on tap for this week that I wanted to talk about was the game between Powell and Loudon. So Powell currently he is sitting in 6th place, tied with 3 other teams at 2-2. He's on a winning streak, 2 games, and since that trade of CMC out of town, Powell, you have looked very good. You have put up point totals of 169 last week and 113 the week before. So this week, it's basically 2 powerhouses. I mean, on the flip side, Loudon in week 4 put up 141 points, and he put up 130 in a loss to you the week before. So with Loudon also being 2-2, I think that it's probably game of the week for me in terms of the stakes. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, no, I like this game. I love that Powell becomes a contender right after a big trade of a big name. That's exciting for me. Not to toot our own horn, but I think we said something along those lines, like move a big piece, get depth, become competitive, and he's done exactly that on a 2-game winning streak. And his team's, it's looking good. Going through
it's looking real good
now.
It's looking real good. Tennessee against Philadelphia coming off that unexpected bye. Pittsburgh against Philadelphia coming off that unexpected bye. He's got Roethlisberger and Connor.
Yeah. Sanders going, Cup going, CeeDee Lamb's looked great, which is going to neutralize Loudon's Dak a little bit if any of the touchdown goes there.
Justin Jefferson against Seattle's decimated secondary.
Jeez, Jefferson's looked beastie. So I love this
Kittle's
matchup.
back.
Kittle's back. And Mostert's questionable.
And who's his kicker, Dorian?
Blankenship. Oh, that's hilarious. That guy's a fucking weapon.
Oh, how many Blankenship outfits are you going to see at Halloween this year, right?
Oh, I'm going as him for sure. I mean, God, this is still hard. This is, I think I have to give the edge to Loudon here because Dak Prescott has been just fucking lights out. And
I know.
And Zeke, he's been good. He's been Zeke. And Mostert,
he's been good.
Is Mostert back? He's questionable here.
I think he will potentially play, but I will say that I don't know if they're in a hurry to bring him back with the way that Jerick McKinnon's been playing. Yeah. And so if we take a look at the options beyond that, I think he's rolling with his boy Scotty Miller, right? Which I think evens this up, right? As it stands, if Mostert goes, I'm with you on that. I take Loudon, and NFL.com projects it to be an 8-point win as is. But I think that if you have to move Mostert out and you've got to move in a guy like Scotty Miller, it's a different turnout, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And for Powell, Traquan Smith, Monday nighter, always love having a guy playing on Monday. So reconsider that little move is what I would do because the boys like playing on prime time. That'll be a good match. I'm going to give the edge to Loudon. And then, moving on.
So we've got another big match. This was probably my second biggest game of the week. And that's between you and the dynamic duo. So just bringing that up real quick here. Where are we? Judge Judy against Batman and Dobbins. So you're rolling with Burrow, which I don't think there's a huge drop off. I think anyone playing against Baltimore is going to have a problem.
Yeah.
I think David Johnson against Jacksonville's great. Melvin Gordon. I don't know what to expect with New England. I'm just not sure. I hope that game goes. I know we had some positives, but it sounds like they've broken through. And then you've got Judy starting, which I really like. Malcolm Brown for you, man. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to run your team.
Yeah, if it's been on my mind. It's been on my mind.
Cam Akers might be going too, so that just further muddies that. I mean, I don't mind him. He actually out carried Darrell Henderson, but and it is your flex.
I know. That's what I mean, though. Like that, he's still getting targets. He's still capable. It is a muddy situation there, but I just see there's a little bit of value in Brown still.
What about Alshon Jeffrey? Is he back now? I'm just clicking the screen and it's not doing anything.
He's not. He's not going this week.
So, and then on the flip side, I mean, we've got Mahomes, Kelsey, McLaren sounds to be in. He's going to have a new quarterback throwing to him. David Montgomery, we're going to see how he does tonight. But, I mean, you can't – the weakness in this team for these guys has always been the running backs. Antonio Gibson looks incredible. And I think with the new running mate there, he's going to have probably some more pressure on him, and he's probably going to get the ball a little bit more. But David Montgomery, I mean, move on. You know, it's unfortunate you won't really get much for him. But then there's also what are they going to do for their WR3? The options as of right now, is A.J. Brown back?
Questionable.
Andy Isabella is a nice sleeper option. So I don't know what's going to happen. Part of the problem for these guys is they've got two tight ends, and so their flex is pretty much written off every week if they want to max out. So it doesn't give you that flexibility necessarily that the flex position would offer. You know,
these guys are lucky. They're getting me with a Rogerless squad right off.
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're lucky. I mean, obviously Rodgers has been hot, but
I would love Burrows. There's about 3 teams I wouldn't want him playing this week to go, and Baltimore's one of them. But we'll see. Could be a good game script for him. I'd like to see him down and throwing.
NFL.com has it currently as a 6-point spread for them. And if we went ahead and put let's go ahead and put A.J. Brown in with 8 points. That would put them up to 111. So they're about a 2 touchdown favorite over you. I think that's a lot. I don't think Burrow is getting any love, and I think he's the dark horse.
Yep.
So I do still have to give them the win because I think that if Mahomes and Kelsey just pop off against the Raiders, which I think they could, it probably goes their way, but I'm not in any way confident on that pick at all.
So Julio Jones is questionable. He could be sliding into a receiver spot, possibly a flex spot over Brown. And if Akers is good to go, he might just go where Brown is going and hope that he plays. And Alshon Jeffrey is still questionable. So those 3 big players here.
The caveat with my pick is Julio Jones doesn't go. If Jones plays and Jones is healthy enough to play, I think that all bets are off at that point. He's capable of putting up 30 points on his own. So
I hope he's good. All right. But I think they have the edge this week too. If Rodgers was in and it was we'll see. I think it's all going to depend on Burrow. Burrow's going to be the deciding factor. If Burrow puts up more than 30 points, I think it's mine. Burrow under 30 points, I think it's theirs.
Nice.
Or depending on what Mahomes does. But if Burrows can kind of stay within 5 to 8 of Mahomes, I think I got a serious shot because I think the rest of my depth will – if Mahomes goes off and Burrows does shit, I don't think my depth will make up for that. So,
okay.
Anyways, Silva, let's make a side bet if you'd like. I want odds, though.
Shit, I like it. Next one up is myself versus Rosie. I won't spend too much time on it.
Ooh, I like this little matchup. Do I dare call an upset?
You could.
No, I'm not.
You could. I mean, I've got a couple problems, man. I got Jonnu Smith and Derrick Henry. So I've moved Henry out. I've put Josh Kelly in. Monday night. Something about a Monday night, man.
I love Monday nighters.
To have two running backs in the Monday night playing against each other. Oh boy.
The real problem with Rosie's team is that it's not fucking good. Oh God! No, he's got some guys coming back. If this roster was 3 years ago, it looks really good when you got Breeze and Gurley and Lev Bell. Is Lev Bell going?
Lev Bell is going. He's off the IR.
That could be good.
I mean, he's going to slot in over Thomas in the flex. Thomas is going to slot in over Anthony Miller. So let's give the fans, give the audience a breakdown.
NFL has you as a 20-point favorite, almost, is what they're kind of giving you. That's just based off of whatever their projections, but they got you as a 20-point favorite. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Breeze. Is it time to move on from Breeze, or can he still go? It's Monday night. He's getting some guys back. He's got to win or lose. If he throws another 15-point, it's Kamara running balls. It's time to move on, Rosie. You got to find it. Honestly.
Come on, man.
It is. Honestly, it's, he can't remain competitive. Like, let me just look at Breeze's stats this year.
He's got Stafford. He's got Stafford.
Breeze went 18, 22, 29, and then 19.
That's better than Lamar, man. Lamar's had a 14 or 15, whatever that stupid thing was.
But seeing 18 out of Drew Brees, that's not,
it's a good point, Dorian.
His floor used to be 30, 28.
I know. 10 years ago.
Floor was. Now that's his ceiling. It's so, I don't know. For me, there's value out there. Maybe go get a quarterback.
Scoring is at an unprecedented historical high right now. Like through this amount of weeks, so through 4 weeks, there's never been this much scoring, okay? Dak Prescott is on pace to pass for 6,700 yards. It's not going to happen, but what I'm saying is, and this was what I heard on one of the podcasts, the floor of an acceptable quarterback, it used to be like 15 to 16.
Yeah.
It's 20. If you don't put up 20, bye.
Unless you're Rodgers, when your off year is most guys' career years.
Oh, man.
Swagged out.
Man. Check my wrist. Like, Jesus, man.
Who says that? Good on him. He's playing with a chip. Go back. Watch week 1 of this podcast. I said he's playing pissed, and that's where I like him. When he's playing pissed, he's dangerous. Everyone's shitting on him like this Jordan Love kid is the new fucking blah, blah, blah.
I'm a Packers fan, man. I don't even listen to that shit anymore. All I've heard is this since like 2015.
They're selling newspapers, man. That's all they're doing. They're selling the clickbait.
That's right.
Jordan Love, the new face of the franchise. Like, no.
Excuse me.
Rodgers has no one to throw to. He's turning fucking no-names into fucking studs. And everyone's sleeping on him.
Onion Harding.
Back to the point at hand here. Your depth is just okay. You got Delvin Cook going against Gurley. I'm sorry, Gurley's done. I liked him at the beginning of the year, but Atlanta hasn't been in a
Brian Hill, man,
script all year. Gurley's actually still good.
He is.
But Ryan's got to throw 60 times a game because they're always fucking losing. And I don't know how that. I don't know how coaching staff still have jobs in Atlanta right now.
They won't soon, man. You just wait. And then I think what happens is when they switch coaching staff, they probably feed the ball to Gurley. Why would they sign him and not use him? It doesn't make any sense, Yeah.
Arthur Blank, I think, is the owner's name. He's going to be some changes.
Yeah.
And then you got Kamara going head-to-head with Davis. Davis has been exceptional since coming in for Christian McCaffrey. But, again, if this was like a daily fantasy, who do you want, Kamara or Davis? Okay, I'm going to go with Kamara.
Well, Kamara's the number 1 running back in the league right now.
Oh,
He's unstoppable. He's like Ken Kniff on the internet.
So that poses a problem for Breeze too, because if the ball's getting rushed in, favor you. If the ball's getting thrown in, favor him, except you can kind of double dip. If he throws it to Kamara, you're getting it's at a deficit,
That's
Everything
right.
he's throwing to Kamara is going to you too, except you actually get more points for those yards than he does. I would reconsider something else. I have someone knocking on my door. Let's take a quick pause here, AJ.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're back here. Sorry about that little interruption. Where were we?
So we were just finishing up looking at my match with Rosie. So you've basically given me the W there. I don't want to spend too much more time on my match. I think that it's probably an up and down affair. The next one was Craig playing against Jake. We briefly touched on it earlier. I mean, let's just take a quick deep dive on this. I mean, when you see Fitzpatrick for Craig going against Kyler Murray,
yeah.
I mean, is that a microcosm of the matchup?
Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, the problem is Fitzpatrick can't put up numbers. Kyler Murray hasn't been overly impressive to where I expected him to be at season start.
Mm-hmm. Craig's without Aaron Jones, his best player. You know, he's got a guy like Juju Smith slotted into his flex, and so his total projected points are 91, and that's kind of where he's been all season, right around 100. And then when you flip the script and you take a look at Jake's squad, I mean, we've got Josh Jacobs, who for the most part has been pretty disappointing since week 1, but I know he's been dealing with an injury. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, he's a rookie. Has he been what I thought he would be? No. But has he been acceptable? Of course.
He's acceptable. He's getting a lot of touches. And, I mean, I said early on in the season, I don't think he's going to be this trudging back that's going through. He looks small.
He does look small.
He gets a lot of opportunities because Mahomes stretches the field so wide too. And you know, the question becomes, what could a really good back be doing there? But he is the guy there for now. He's getting the touches and he's going to do what he does. But
he's got Chase Edmonds in his flex.
Yeah, that's Chase Edmonds. I don't know.
Over a guy like Brian Hill, over James White. So, I mean, when you look at it, those guys are all in the same range. It's unfortunate that he's lost Henry Ruggs and Noah Fant, because those are two options I'd probably slot in over that. But, you know, you're going against – so Chase Edmonds, I mean, for anyone that's watched Arizona ball, he actually has looked like the better of the two backs.
He does look good, but he's touchdown dependent. He had a touchdown in week 1 and a touchdown in week 4, and both those games he had 10 points. If you take touchdowns away, he's a 3, a 1, a 3, and a 3. So he needs a touchdown to be relevant. Yep. 3 points, 1 point. I was just looking at it. 3 points, 1 point, 3 point, 3 point. So if you take those touchdowns away, I mean, 16 yards rushing, 24 yards receiving was his last week versus Carolina. And then he got a touchdown. So then he had 10 points last week. So, you know, rushing yards week 1, 26. Rushing yards week 2, 4. Rushing yards week 3, 13. Rushing yards week 4, 16. So his career or his season high is 26 rushing yards this year. He just happened to get a touchdown in that game to make it look relevant.
Is there someone on the waiver wire that would be a better fucking replacement?
Well, Jake gave away depth to get McCaffrey, so now he's stuck trying to piece this together. If I'm Jake, he doesn't really have much assets left because he gave all his picks away, but he's got to make a move. The real question here is Craig. I don't think Craig can win this week without Aaron Jones and Fitzpatrick going. And
I want, as much as, honestly, Dorian, I'm with you. As much as I wanted to say that this could be, like, because you look at Jake's squad and you're like, it's prime for an upset. Like, if I was playing Jake this week, I'd be like, thank you that it's this week. But I look at Craig's team and I go, what is here? Who did you keep?
God, it's bad. Are you a seller if you're Craig? Is it time for Craig to sell? Let's not sugarcoat.
Who's he going to sell? Let's look at his keepers. I'm sorry, Craig. I'm not trying to pile on, bro, but let's look at the 5 players that he would consider to be untouchable. Joe. No,
he doesn't have that. He can't have that at this point. He's not an untouchable. He's not there. He's got to move.
If you don't have a franchise cornerstone,
he's got to start from scratch.
Who's he going to you got to have one
Aaron
guy.
Jones. He can get paid with Aaron Jones. There's value left in Mixon, right?
I think you keep Aaron Jones and you flip Joe Mixon after his monster 150 yards or whatever it was.
You don't keep Jones. Jones is aging, and you got fucking.
He's 26, man. He's got another 2 to 3 years of elite. If he wants to do anything next year,
He needs to move Jones to rebuild. He needs to move Jones because that's where all the value is going to come from. He can move a guy like Jones, get a young running back plus picks. If he gets like a Cam Akers, or if he gets a Hilaire from a Jake, or someone that's like, okay, you're real, because he's got to start back from scratch. By the time the rest of his team's coming around to maturing, Jones is going to be non-relevant. So why have a guy that he can't win you the league?
It depends on the window.
The rest of your team needs to be rebuilt from scratch. So why are you going to keep one diamond?
Because you need something. Like,
no, you got to go to zero. You got to go right to ground zero and start with picks and young guys.
I've never gone to zero, man. I've always had something.
You haven't
that made
been this
it fun.
bad. This is bad. I'm sorry, Craig. I don't mean to send you out.
This is bad. No, it is
Listen,
bad. You might be right. You might be right.
You can't just try and keep the only bit of value on your team and get rid of the scraps. Nobody wants the scraps. People are only going to want Juju. People are going to want maybe some value in Cole or Landry, Mixon. And,
I mean, would you trade for Keelan Cole? Would you trade for Jarvis Landry?
I personally wouldn't, but I
wouldn't either.
Deep receiver depth. I have some deep receiver. Someone out there, Cody could use it. Well, maybe not. Cody could probably use a Keelan Cole or a Landry.
I mean, I think but what are you going to give? I mean, Cody doesn't have any picks. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, if I'm Craig, okay, what I want to do is I want to mine. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying mine I'm saying I want to mine. I want to do what I've been doing. You go in and you get those running backs who aren't there yet. Go to you and get Akers. Not the guys that are starting already, but the J.K. Dobbins.
A Swift, maybe take a gamble on a Swift.
That's where I look at it. So if you open the season and you said next year, so let's say he moves everyone but Aaron Jones. Let's say Joe Mixon will get something. I'd pay him for Joe Mixon before I did the trade. Sure. So let's say he's got Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, and Cam Akers going to next season. Okay?
Yeah.
Even though that might not be where he wants it to be, that's great. That's so much upside.
You only need
what are we looking at right now? I mean, what are we looking at right now? I'm sorry, but Craig, unless you start winning, I mean, what are you doing?
He needs to go stash a young QB too. Take a gamble on a guy now and just see how it works out for the rest of the year. Obviously, Burrows is he's the pinnacle, so that's probably a no-go for him. But if he gets a guy like Herbert,
I was just him and Cody, my brother and Craig. I feel like my brother still has his 2-3-4, I believe. So yeah, and Cody needs running back help like you wouldn't fucking believe.
Yeah, Cody.
Craig, I think Cody.
There's all kinds of trade options here. I don't want to walk people through what to do with their team.
But I think a Mixon involved trade. Mixon is not. I mean, you move Mixon. And you get what you can get, and then you refocus. I mean, watch fucking Craig go and put up a massive W against Jake this week, eh? Like, that's just all.
Who the fuck's scoring touchdowns?
I don't know, man.
I mean,
Fitz magic, man. Fitz magic. One of those weeks he had.
Let's say he blows up. Where's the rest of his points coming from?
I don't know, man. I have no idea.
Watkins and Keelan Cole and Jimmy Graham, who fucking had one magical week for the first time in 3 years, and now he's a starter. Like, you hoping Greg Zuerlein puts up a 40 burger? Like, I don't know where the points are coming from. And I'm not trying to talk shit. Because I think Craig's a good, capable fantasy GM.
Oh, he's made it to the finals, I'm pretty sure, man.
He's hanging on to
against
AJ
Chad.
Green. That train is over with.
Sales. Yeah, that train has been derailed, man.
Yeah. Giovanni Bernard? I haven't heard his name this season in a while.
Him and Mixon go. You move Mixon, you get rid of Bernard. You send them away together, And so one of the things that I'm going to say, this leads me to one of our closing thoughts. If you're going to do this, there's strength in gaining roster spots. Like when I moved for Derrick Henry, the unseen tangible that I was getting was an open roster spot. And if you're a guy like Craig that's getting that top spot every week, right now he's still trying to compete, and I commend him for that. But at the end of the day,
is he though? We don't really know. He was trying last week, then he lost. He's 4-0.
You get Fitzpatrick, you're definitely still trying to compete. If you're rebuilding your first overall waiver pick, you're not going to go and spend it on trash that helps you this week. Fitzpatrick isn't even in the league next year. So he's clearly not rebuilding. If he was rebuilding, he goes and gets himself a guy like Jeff Smith. Darrington Evans, Keyshawn Vaughn. Like, there's still guys out there that have value, you know? So I think he's still playing for now.
Yeah, he is. But he's like, so what happens? He gets to the final with he fucking pulls it out of his ass, gets into that last playoff spot, and you're looking down the barrel at Fitzpatrick and Kenyon Drake and Sammy Watkins going against, you know, like a Lamar Jackson and a Alvin Kamara and like what are you gonna do? Like, you can't win with this team. Am I wrong? I don't mean, again, I'm not trying to bash
you know, and
we're discussing it. If it's me, I'm going to zero. I'm going to fucking zero. I'm getting guys like maybe go out and get an injured guy like a Saquon that like you can give Chad depth.
That's
maybe Jake wants to do a deal for McCaffrey because he's sick of waiting. Like, maybe there's, you know, like maybe get like a Marlon Mack on a gamble that he lands somewhere juicy next year, or like things like that. Because when I blew up last year, I had to get rid of Le'Veon Bell. I got rid of Todd Gurley. I got rid of fucking Antonio Brown. Like, I went and I took on these injured guys from other teams, and they all kind of progressed. And so now I was kind of playing half for now, half for later. I ended up getting Rodgers late in the year, which worked out well. And
the thing that's being missed by us, okay, is that he didn't want his team to be this way. And what I mean by that is when you look at the team preseason. So if you looked at a team that had Aaron Jones, Kenyon Drake, and Joe Mixon, you would have said to yourself, and if you go back and read my preseason power rankings, I'm pretty sure I said this. Yeah. I'm like, that's a solid core. Sure. That's you've got all sorts of range there, but they're all fairly ranked highly. And now I look at it and I go, Joe Mixon's potentially on one of the worst teams I've seen. Kenyon Drake is a bust. Like, I mean, there's no way about it that when you get that number of opportunity and you do nothing with it, that's not going to continue. He's playing for a contract at this point, and they're not going to give it to him based on what I've seen. Yep. And then you've got Aaron Jones, who's done what Aaron Jones is going to do. So I think this week is a turning point for Craig. I think that if we don't see him win, he's going to be selling, and we'll just put it out there that it could be a good week for trades. So I think we've spent enough time on this match, but the last match that I want to talk about, and then we'll just go to some quick trade reviews, is the match between my brother and Valdez. I think that's a huge. Yeah, I was just going to say Valdez is 1-3. My brother is 3-1. We talked about that earlier. But when we talk about the players that my brother's missing, I mean, you know, it starts with Fournette, Kenny Golladay, Kerryon Johnson, Cortland Sutton, Nick Chubb. You know, and those are guys mixed between bye weeks and injuries. LaShawn McCoy's an afterthought, but he's also gone. Then you've got guys like, you know, great pickups that he's made. He moved for Stephon Diggs, who's been incredible. Devontae Parker's been, you know, continuing his streak from last year. Yeah. And Laviska Shenault. I mean, he's become more involved in that offense. So what do you think about this, Dorian? I mean, I'm seeing a team for my brother that, even as battered as it is, could still potentially compete.
So I want pieces from Craig's team bad, because I think he's the first seller, and I can tell you do. But the real truth of the matter is here, if I'm just being, you know, completely non-biased and objective, Cody and Craig are primed for a fucking blockbuster deal.
I know they are.
They are really primed. I don't know where it's going to happen, but Cody's so beat up and he needs depth, and
he needs running back help.
Does he ever? And he's got some depth. He's got the Herbert, how we talked about it. And, like, you know, if Cody moves a Nick Chubb to Craig, and Craig can wait on him because it's next year, but Cody gets a guy that can play now and a mix in. There's all kinds of – if I was running one of these two teams, there'd be a deal getting done. And Cody, I'm not giving you a bunt, because whatever you offer, I'm going to come over the top of it. But you should still try, because I think it's good for the league. Now, in terms of this matchup, I don't know how Valdez is 1-3, but I mean, I guess I know, because he doesn't. Again, it comes down to, you know, he's been hanging on guys. He's really riding this Darrell Henderson.
He's loyal, man. He goes to guys like Jordan Howard, and he just wants to see him right through, I think. So I'm with you, man. I look at Valdez's squad and I go, Matt Ryan. I mean, game script, just it starts and ends with game script. I mean, he's throwing 50 times a game, right? Jarrett
Deshaun
McKinnon
Watson on the bench. Deshaun Watson on the bench. Sorry.
Well, we're going to see with Romeo Crennel taking over there. I mean, I wouldn't be rushing to put Watson there, but when you have Ryan, I mean, you know, but even that, like, move Watson then. Go flip Watson to Craig. I mean, why do we have to be making these connections? Look around the league. Who needs what you have, you know?
I'm actually sick of it because I'm making other teams better. It's making it harder for me. But just looking at this, I don't think Cody has enough healthy guys to fuck, this is hard because Josh Allen's just – he can go put up 50 at any moment. Philip Lindsay gets a lucky touchdown. And, you know, Parker – I'm gonna say I like Valdez this week. I think
It's
Cody's
tough.
too beat up.
It's tough for me, man, because I see a guy like Keenan Allen and I see a guy like James Robinson, and those are guys. I see a guy like Hayden Hurst. So Hayden Hurst, he leads the league in routes run by tight ends. Keenan Allen, he's right there in terms of targets demanded. James Robinson, he's right there in terms of offensive snap percentage. These are guys. Obviously he knows what he's doing, but these are guys that you're not chasing points, you're not chasing anything but opportunity. That's it. And so based solely on that, comparing it to a guy like Philip Lindsay, he's not going to get the opportunity. He needs that home run. Laviska Shenault, the same kind of thing. I think this is close. I think it really is going to come down to they both have guys going Monday night. I think it's going to come down to that. But I actually think my brother pulls it out. I think Joshua Allen, if Josh Allen plays, if Josh Allen doesn't play, it's over for Cody. He's going to take the L this week. Yeah. But Josh Allen, man, he's it would be like betting against me last year when Lamar was going off. It's just so hard to do, you know.
I just have a hard time with Philip Lindsay in your running back one spot. You know, I'm not chirping. I just like, you know, that's in Singletary's been, you know, hit or miss. You're kind of, you know, feeding out of both hands there when you got Allen and Singletary. Is you're going to get rushing touchdowns or throwing? You're losing one or the other, unless
I don't. That. I'm with you on that. I don't like that at all.
Which is kind of why I don't want to go after. Anyway, I'm done talking. Anyways, I'm going to say Valdez edges him out this week unless Cody maybe gets a deal done and gets a little bit of depth and plugs in some of these holes with some guys that are going to get some targets. But
all right, cool.
It's a coin flip. Let's
flip that coin and move on. I got 2 trades to review, and then we'll put a bookmark in this until next week. So the first trade, you tell me what you think about this, Dorian. So it was Traquan Hot Potato Smith, round 5, for MVS in round 7.
That was Traquan going from who was it? From Silva?
Yes. Yeah, I'm just going to pull it up here so you guys can see it. But so it was Silva trading away Traquan Smith in the 5 to Powell for MVS and the 7.
Yeah,
I thought you when I saw that trade. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially 2 players in the same kind of spot on their team, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you asked me before the game, I would have said great move because Rodgers has to throw to somebody. But, you know, looking at it in hindsight, it wasn't MVS. So Silva lost that week, right? So
Yep.
It's kind of a nothing trade. MVS, once everyone's healthy, goes down to nothing. He's just a wasted bench spot. I don't know if he holds on to him. So,
and I'm not certain that's the same with Traquan. I mean, 2 years ago was super early on him, but I mean, he looks legitimate now.
Yeah, he's bounced around to a few teams here quickly, and I think it might be too early to. You know, I think he kind of could emerge as like a really solid number 2 guy there. I mean,
so would you give that to Powell?
Yeah, I think Powell wins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that MVS is, like I said, I personally thought that was going to be. I thought that they were going to make that move, which was last Thursday, and you were going to get MVS. I thought that's what that was, and it wasn't. So
I just wouldn't have paid for 1 week of production like that. And then Tanyan found him, and I'm like, you know what, that would be my stack. So,
and then there's the second trade was involving yourself actually.
Yeah.
So you shipped out Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
Round 9, round 10.
Yep.
And then Reynolds shipped you Arizona DST, which you've subsequently dropped, and then rounds 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
I personally love the trade. I think that Deebo Samuel is not as good of a receiver as Brandon Ayuk. And I think that as Ayuk progresses, Deebo's role will become more defined.
Yeah.
Now, Deebo's coming off injury. There's issues in San Fran with who's throwing the ball. And then there's you looking at it going, I don't need Deebo. But I want to hear what your thought process was on this.
Yeah, so Reynolds needed a receiver, and we talked about a few guys. I think it was the podcast. I said, here's the guys that are available.
Okay.
And he didn't like Alshon. So we kind of bounced around a few names. I personally do like Deebo, and I especially like Deebo if Jimmy G is back, because Jimmy G likes Deebo. So
he does.
And Jimmy G's coming back, and Deebo is getting healthy. Reynolds needed a good, solid receiver, and that's kind of the range he wanted to pay. Like we talked about Judy, but I think Judy's a stud. Like, he's young. It'd be like
he's a WR1.
Yeah, he's in a great position, and I think he's a really good athlete. So I kind of told him where I thought the value of Judy was. I didn't disagree with the value of Judy. He just said he didn't want to pay that right now. So
too rich.
We went down to a Debo, who, like, realistically, Debo should put up similar or better numbers than Judy, and he got him for 3, 4, 5. I like getting rid of my late rounds early, so that even if my team takes a nosedive, I still have a decent draft for next year. So I probably could have went for something just like a 2 or just like a 1 for Debo, which might have been rich, but no one cares about 4s and 5s, so it's really a 3. So yeah, it was just.
But you got out of the 9-10, I like that. I really like it, Dorian. And just to give everyone an idea of what.
And my receiver depth is pretty deep right now, because
Julio,
Lockett, and OBJ. So.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So for you took a guy that Reynolds is going to slot into his WR3. He has.
Yeah.
And so for Reynolds, I think Reynolds. I just shifted over to Reynolds' roster here as I take care of myself here. When I look at Reynolds' roster, I mean, it's actually decent. I've given him a lot of flack, but when looking at other guys, I mean, his receiving core now is Thielen, Evans, and Deebo. So I don't think he's asking too much out of Deebo, and I think with being able to get a talent like that and not have to give up a 1 or a 2, it just sets you up for future success. You know, we review these trades, and when you saw my brother go and get Steph Diggs for John Brown 1.5, the problem for me was your 1's gone now, and you didn't take care of a need. You just upgraded a position. Yeah.
See, that's super rich for me. If you compare that, like, I think there's all kinds of value at Deebo 3, 4, 5 versus Diggs 1 through 5. Like, Reynolds gets a deal here, and I'm happy to do it because I had depth. So I thought it was pretty fair. I also drafted Deebo in the 3rd and waited on him for 4 weeks on my injury reserve.
You got a premium.
With the 3. I got a 4 or 5 for him. Yep. And then luckily I dropped Arizona and got Jared Cook. So now it's Jared Cook 3, 4, 5, and I'm super happy about that. But it was just it was more of a roster management move than anything for me. And,
I think it's a win-win. Like, if I were to ever say that it's a win-win for you guys, I would say that this is. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a huge long-term Deebo fan, but I think for right now, coming off with what he'll bring, and then what you were trying to accomplish without losing anything. I think it was a good trade. So
he doesn't see a starting position on my team likely.
So before we sign off, take a look at my bench, gentlemen. There's quite a bit there. It might take you some time to unpack everything, but I've got starters that aren't starting, and I don't want your 1s for them. I repeat, I do not want your 1s. If you need running back help, get at me. I'm your guy.
Yeah. And again, as always, I'm looking for a big deal here, something that's going to put me a step up. So as you guys decide if you're selling or not, let me know. Could really use a high-end running back upgrade. And, you could get back a guy like a David Johnson, who's been ultra solid. Cam Akers could be hitting the market soon. I'm really high on him. Really high on Akers, but, I need to win now. So do I want to wait until next year or the year after?
He was a first-round pick, was he not, Dorian?
He was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like in the KFFL? Yeah, I took him 3rd overall. So talk to me, boys. I'm looking to get a guy that can win now. So
been a slice.
Yep, that's pretty much everything we have to talk about. Send in your fan questions for next week. And until next time, signing off is Diesel and the Beard.
Get those cash bags. Thanks, gents. See you next week. Cheers.
Good boys. Bye.
Well